Now, unlike previous videos on this channel, this is not going to be scripted and I'm going to give you my raw thoughts on what I actually think of CS2 gambling. Now, if you've been an avid viewer of the Mitchum channel, I'm sure you've seen my videos on me condemning CS2 gambling and why it's bad for the youth. Now, I definitely still hold that view. I just wish these sites would have better countermeasures for these younger generations. You're going to have impressionable teenagers gambling away their savings, which doesn't really give them the best lesson in terms of how to A, stay financially responsible, and B, actually keep the money that they do have growing up. No, as much as I can talk bad and rant about a lot of these bad sites, there are definitely some good ones that I'm not going to name that do have not the best countermeasures. But if you were to go down that avenue of gambling, you definitely would want to be within one of those top sites. As I mentioned in the previous videos, a lot of these sites are going to be unregulated, meaning they're just going to give you their on-site currency in exchange for your hard-earned cash. And in terms of a humane point of view, it definitely is probably one of the scummiest thing you can do. Not only are you going to be cutting out the legal requirements you're obligated to do, but you're also getting people hooked into gambling. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be dishonest about my use of these sites. I think CS2 gambling sites, any gambling as a whole, definitely can be enjoyable with recreational use. And like any vice, you can't be engulfed in it all the time. And this is where you see people spiral out of control when it comes to being financially smart. You know, oftentimes a gambler's brain, they do not have that option that me and you might have to just quit straight away. They're always going to be chasing the next win, the next win, the next win. And oftentimes that first rush of dopamine gets them coming back. Let's just say in terms of CS2 gambling, if I were to win, for instance, an Ursus knife Damascus still, you know, like around 250 coins on some of these sites, that is going to be initially a massive rush of dopamine that they're going to be getting. It's going to be one of the best feelings they felt in quite a while. And a lot of times, these gambling addicts that do stay in denial also are faced with other mental health problems. Another combination of them maybe being depressed, maybe having an undiagnosed personality disorder. It sort of meshes together and we see a downward spiral within this individual. Now it could be them taking out loans just to gamble in the hopes of hitting that big win. Taking out another loan just to pay back the other loan that they just loaned out. You know, it's a very, very hurtful spiral that is the reality for most gambling addicts. You know, I'm fortunate with it myself. My first unboxing on CS2 was minimal wear, snow leopard gloves, and now these on the Steam market was around 1.2k. And the first initial rush of me loading up the prices to see what I've got, not knowing barely anything about CS2 skins, and seeing the price tag of 1.2k, you know, after maybe investing 300-400, it was a great return of profit. No, admittedly, I've never felt that same first exact rush that I felt when I did unbox those gloves. And now there's always the argument where people are adults, they can spend their money how they want to. We should not be liable for another adult's responsibilities. And however that is true, I think as humans we definitely should be striving for helping other people out, giving advice when we can actually give advice. And I think this is the big distinction in what makes us human. Granted, we're not obligated to care about people, but we definitely do have an option to. And if you're waking up, going about your life, not willing to care about people, then that's definitely something you should really be changing. Now, my thoughts on CS2 gambling, like I say, is very mixed. I just wish there were countermeasures in place for the younger people that want to use these sites. And I just wish a lot of them were more transparent on the actual odds and the house edge that they get. Now, I'm not going to sit in denial and say I don't use some of these sites. Currently, I'm limited to two of these sites, and I probably tried maybe altogether four or five. So I'm definitely am not deeper into the rabbit hole as many of you might be. I tend to use it on a recreational basis, and for me, it definitely is fun just to rewind, relax a little bit. And if I do get that big win, and it is going to be a nice, some sites will offer for crypto withdrawal, and that is kind of good because instead of actually getting a CS2 skin, you're going to be seeing real cash. Now, just to give a quick summary of this video, long story short, I do condemn some gambling sites for their inhumane practices of getting these younger generations to gamble on their site to get them hooked. And when they transition into adulthood, they're just hooked, they're hooked, they're hooked, and the more money they receive, the more money these gambling sites are going to get. So it really is just a nefarious cycle that does affect not only younger generation but older generation as well, because at the end of the day, it is gambling. People do have these addictions. They might be suffering with prior mental health conditions. So it genuinely is, as a whole, nefarious. However, like smoking, like drinking, you yourself should be putting countermeasures into place. And if you feel like it's getting out of hand, maybe speak to someone. There genuinely is more to life than money. Now, the more people realize there's more to life and money than to wealth, than to these materialistic things, I genuinely think we can start enjoying life a bit more.